Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're diving into the metaverse, but not for gaming or virtual concerts. We're talking about e-commerce in the metaverse and how it's changing the way we shop. We've got this fascinating mix of articles and reports on this.
It's no longer a sci-fi concept.
Mhm.
Brands are already heavily invested.
Yeah.
And some of the early results are really impressive. In fact, we might be looking at the future of retail.
Right now, I've got this article here talking about Nike's Nickeon on Roblox. They've had over 6 million visitors.
Wow.
And LeBron James even showed up. That's a lot of people hanging out in a virtual shoe store.
Right.
Is this kind of thing just hype, or is there real potential here?
There's definitely substance behind the hype.
Uh-huh.
What's interesting is how these brands are using the metaverse not just to sell, but to build immersive experiences around their products.
Right, so it's not like just clicking add to cart on a website. You're actually in the
Right.
experience. But for those of us still wrapping our heads around this whole metaverse thing, can you break down what it actually is?
Think of it as a network of persistent virtual spaces. It's not just one place, it's interconnected so you can move between different experiences seamlessly. And technologies like augmented reality and virtual reality really bring it to life.
So it's more than just looking at a product online. You can interact with it almost as if you were there in person.
Exactly. Take the Gucci Garden, for example. They created a virtual museum and shop that celebrates the brand's history. Users can explore, interact with exhibits, and even purchase digital or physical Gucci items.
I also read about Forever 21 letting users create and manage their own virtual stores inside the metaverse. It feels like we're blurring the lines between being a consumer and a creator. Do you think this kind of user-generated content is going to be a big part of metaverse e-commerce?
Absolutely. It taps into this desire for self-expression and customization that's so important to younger generations. Imagine being able to design your own virtual store, curate products, and even sell your own designs within the metaverse. That's a powerful proposition.
It's like building your own little retail empire in a digital world. And it's not just for fun and games, right? Our sources point to some pretty substantial benefits for businesses. Virtual stores are open 24/7, they're globally accessible, and there's a huge potential for gathering data on customer behavior.
Here's what I find fascinating about the data aspect.
Yeah.
In the metaverse, you can track not just clicks, but how someone moves through a virtual store, how long they linger on a product, even their facial expressions as they interact with it. That level of detail is unheard of in traditional e-commerce.
That's a gold mine of information for businesses trying to understand what their customers really want. And we haven't even talked about things like interactive product demos. Imagine being able to virtually test drive a car or try on clothes without leaving your house.
This type of interactivity has the potential to drastically reduce buyer's remorse and increase customer satisfaction. It's a level of engagement that traditional e-commerce simply can't replicate.
Okay, this is where I need a bit more of a breakdown. We've got this comparison table in one of the articles that really lays out the differences between metaverse e-commerce and traditional online shopping. Let's dig into that.
Absolutely. This table really highlights the key distinctions. First, there's the immersive experience of the metaverse compared to the two-dimensional world of websites and apps.
Yeah.
And then there's the technology itself. We're talking about virtual reality headsets, augmented reality apps, even haptic feedback devices that add a physical dimension to the digital experience.
And the level of interactivity is on another level too, right? You're not just clicking through product photos, you're manipulating objects, exploring virtual environments, even socializing with other users.
It's a fundamentally different way of shopping.
Yeah.
And it's important to note the difference in cost structure and scalability. Setting up a virtual store in the metaverse doesn't require physical rent or inventory management, which can be a huge advantage for businesses looking to expand globally.
But there's got to be some significant upfront costs involved in developing these virtual environments and integrating all this technology, right?
Of course, there are initial investments to consider, but if we connect this to the bigger picture, the potential for reaching a global audience with minimal overhead costs is quite appealing. Imagine launching a flagship store in the metaverse overnight without the need for physical space or geographical limitations.
Okay, that's starting to paint a clearer picture of the potential here. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. This technology is still evolving, and there are definitely challenges to address. For starters, not everyone has access to VR headsets or the latest tech. Is accessibility going to be a major hurdle for metaverse e-commerce?
It's definitely something developers are working on. As the technology becomes more affordable and accessible, we'll see more people entering the metaverse.
Yeah.
And there are already solutions using just your phone or computer, so VR isn't always a requirement.
That makes sense. It sounds like we're just scratching the surface of what's possible here. What are some of the other emerging trends we should be paying attention to?
One fascinating development is the integration of AI-powered virtual assistants. Imagine walking into a virtual store and having an AI stylist guide you through the latest collections, offering personalized recommendations based on your preferences and style.
It's like having your own personal shopper in the metaverse. And what about this idea of blending physical and digital experiences? I saw an article about brands using AR technology to overlay digital information onto real-world products. Could you elaborate on that a bit more?
Absolutely. Imagine pointing your phone at a pair of shoes in a physical store and instantly seeing 3D animations, customer reviews, and even personalized styling suggestions.
Wow.
That's the kind of seamless integration we're talking about.
It sounds like we're on the verge of a retail revolution. But what about the financial side of things? What kind of revenue potential are we looking at in the metaverse e-commerce space?
The numbers are pretty staggering. Some analysts predict that metaverse e-commerce could generate trillions of dollars in revenue over the next decade. And we're already seeing virtual real estate, digital fashion, and even virtual event tickets becoming major revenue streams.
That's incredible. It seems like this technology has the potential to completely reshape the retail landscape. But I'm curious, with all this talk about virtual worlds and digital experiences, what happens to the physical aspect of shopping? Are we all going to be sitting at home in VR headsets, never setting foot in a real store again?
That's a great question. What's interesting is that we're actually seeing a convergence of physical and digital retail. The metaverse isn't about replacing brick-and-mortar stores. It's about enhancing them.
Okay.
Imagine using AR to bring products to life in a physical store, or attending a virtual fashion show that complements a real-life runway event.
So it's not an either situation. It's about creating a more holistic and integrated shopping experience. Do you think this will change the way brands interact with their customers?
Absolutely. The metaverse offers a level of personalization and engagement that's simply not possible in the traditional retail world. Imagine attending a virtual meet and greet with your favorite designer, or getting a personalized tour of a brand's virtual flagship store. These are the kinds of experiences that can foster deep brand loyalty.
It sounds like we're moving away from transactional relationships and towards something much more immersive and interactive. But let's shift gears for a moment and talk about some of the potential downsides.
Sure.
One of the articles we have raises concerns about data privacy and security in the metaverse. With brands tracking our every move and interaction, how can we ensure our data is being used responsibly?
That's a critical issue. As with any new technology, it's important to establish clear guidelines and regulations around data privacy in the metaverse.
Right.
Consumers need to have control over their data and understand how it's being used. Transparency and user consent are paramount.
I'm also wondering about the potential for exclusion and bias in these virtual spaces. Could the metaverse exacerbate existing inequalities, particularly for those who lack access to technology or who are marginalized in the real world?
It's definitely a valid concern. We need to ensure that the metaverse is inclusive and accessible to everyone, regardless of their background or socioeconomic status. That means designing experiences that are accessible to people with disabilities, providing affordable hardware options, and actively addressing any potential biases in algorithms or virtual environments.
It sounds like there's a lot of work to be done to ensure that the metaverse is a safe, equitable, and accessible space for everyone. But I'm also struck by the incredible potential for innovation and creativity. What are some of the most exciting possibilities you see on the horizon?
One area I'm particularly interested in is the potential for collaborative design and creation in the metaverse. Imagine designers from all over the world working together in real time to create virtual fashion collections, or architects collaborating on immersive architectural designs. The possibilities for creative expression are limitless.
It's almost like breaking down the barriers of time and space to unleash a whole new level of human ingenuity. That's incredibly inspiring. But I'm curious, with all this talk about the metaverse, what about the role of human connection? Will we still crave real-world interactions in a world where everything is virtualized?
Human connection is fundamental to our nature, and I don't believe the metaverse will ever replace the need for face-to-face interactions. But it can certainly enhance and augment our relationships. Imagine attending a virtual conference and then meeting up with colleagues in person for a coffee afterwards. The metaverse can serve as a bridge between the digital and physical worlds, creating new opportunities for meaningful connection.
It sounds like the metaverse has the potential to be both disruptive and transformative. It's clear that we're at a pivotal moment in the evolution of retail and technology, and it's going to be fascinating to see how good this all unfolds in the coming years.
I couldn't agree more. The metaverse is a blank canvas, and we're only just beginning to explore its potential. It's a time of immense opportunity, and it's up to us to shape this technology in a way that benefits both businesses and consumers.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into metaverse e-commerce, what are some of the key takeaways you want our listeners to walk away with?
First and foremost, the metaverse is here to stay. It's not a passing fad. It's a fundamental shift in the way we interact with technology and with each other. We're seeing brands across all industries investing heavily in this space, and the potential for growth is enormous.
It's clear that this technology has the power to transform the retail landscape, offering businesses unparalleled opportunities for engagement personalization and data-driven insights. But it's not just about profits and bottom lines. The metaverse has the potential to democratize access to goods and services, break down geographical barriers, and foster global collaboration.
However, it's crucial that we approach this technology with a critical eye, addressing concerns around data privacy, accessibility, and inclusivity. We need to ensure that the metaverse is a safe, equitable, and ethical space for everyone.
It's a complex and multifaceted topic, and there's still much to learn and explore. But one thing is certain. The metaverse is a force to be reckoned with, and it's going to have a profound impact on the future of commerce culture and society as a whole. It feels like we've only just scratched the surface of this topic. It's so much more than just shopping in a virtual world.
It really is. We're talking about a shift in how we interact with brands, with products, even with each other. And that's what makes it so fascinating to explore.
One thing that keeps coming to mind is how personalized these metaverse experiences can be. We talked about AI stylists, but what other ways are brands tailoring the experience to individual users?
Well, imagine walking into a virtual store, and the products on display are curated based on your past purchases, your browsing history, even your social media activity.
Oh, wow.
It takes the concept of recommendation algorithms to a whole new level.
So it's like having a store that's uniquely designed for you every time you visit. And what about the social aspect? Are people shopping together in the metaverse, or is it a solitary experience?
We're already seeing a rise in social shopping experiences within the metaverse. Imagine browsing a virtual boutique with friends, getting their opinions on outfits, and even attending virtual fashion shows together. It's bringing back that sense of community and shared experience that's often missing from online shopping.
That's really interesting. It seems like the metaverse is blurring the lines between shopping, entertainment, and social interaction. It's becoming a much more integrated part of our lives.
Exactly, and that's why it's so important to think about the broader implications of this technology. It's not just about buying and selling, it's about shaping the future of how we connect, create, and experience the world around us.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into metaverse e-commerce, what's the one big question you want our listeners to ponder?
If we can create these immersive, personalized, and highly engaging experiences in the metaverse, what does that mean for the future of retail as we know it? Is the metaverse the evolution of shopping or the beginning of something entirely new?
It's a question worth considering. And as we move forward, it's going to be crucial to have conversations about the ethical implications, the accessibility challenges, and the societal impact of this technology.
Absolutely. We need to ensure that the metaverse is a force for good, a space that benefits everyone and enhances our lives in meaningful ways.
Well, I think it's safe to say that our virtual shopping carts are overflowing with ideas and insights after this deep dive. Thank you for joining us today. Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious.
It's been a pleasure. And remember, the metaverse is still evolving,
Yeah.
so the possibilities are truly endless.